Okay, welcome back to another episode of Travel Talk, where I share my personal experiences and stories traveling to date. Today we're going to talk about another seriously misunderstood country, which is Honduras. I feel that Honduras and El Salvador get put in this same sort of category as dangerous, don't go there sort of countries, and that was not my experience. Again, these are my experiences, my opinions. I would encourage you to go out there and form opinions of your own on these countries. But yeah, this is what I have experienced. And the people there were fantastic, like phenomenal. And my time there was unbelievable. I spent a little bit too much time on Utila. I wish I went to the mainland earlier and got to see like Lago de Yahoa, I think it's called, and yeah, like Tela, different places like that. But I'm gonna run you through where I went, what I did, and my overall thoughts on this seriously misunderstood country. So, starting off, myself, Sophie, and Petra flew from San Salvador to San Pedro Sula. It was like $50 and took about an hour and a half. So it made way more sense to do that rather than get all the way up to the border towards San Pedro Sula and like Santa Rosa. It would have taken way too long, and it probably would have cost the same amount. So we opted to fly. And after the flight, we got a taxi from the airport to the main bus terminal in San Pedro Sula, which is basically another airport. It is absolutely massive. And you have all of the sort of bus companies have their own shops, and you just go to the one. They have all the lists of the places they go. We wanted to get to Utila, so to get there you have to go to the port town of La Ceiba. Went to La Ceiba. Lots of people said that they found the main bus terminal sort of like eerie, or like kind of they felt uncomfortable in it, but I didn't have that feeling at all. Like we went in, like bought SIM cards, so we had like our phones out and stuff like that, but there's just like so many people all doing their own thing. Maybe I didn't cop anyone eyeing us up or anything like that, but I honestly don't think there was. So yeah, perfectly, and I've been to that terminal twice in my trip through Honduras, and I had no problem either time. I genuinely just think it's a place for transit, and you know, people are going to get pickpocketed there regardless because there's such high traffic. But yeah, I had no problems at all. Just remember, mind your things, keep them on you. So yeah, got on the bus to La Ceiba, and that was taking like really long, and we got to Tela, which is another popular place, and the traffic there was so bad. By the time we got out, we were kind of getting quite close to the time the ferry was meant to leave in La Ceiba, and we were still like, I don't know, an hour off, and I think we had like an hour. Yeah, we had an hour to get there, and the ferry was leaving in an hour. So we were like, oh, there's no way we're gonna make this, and we were getting closer and closer, and time was just like running out, and we were spending longer on the road than we thought, and we were getting like 15 minutes outside the 15 minutes outside of La Ceiba, and then the bus started like making a lot of stops to drop people off. So we were running about 5 minutes late, and I texted the ferry company and I was like, is there any way you could hold the ferry for like 5 minutes? And they basically texted back and said, look, sorry, when the ferry's meant to go, it goes, which I understand, like they're running a business, and if they had held the ferry for everyone that asked, they'd never be leaving on time. So that was fair enough. We ended up missing the ferry. We like got to the port and we could just like see it starting to sail away. So we ended up staying in a hotel right beside the dock, or right beside the port, which was really handy. And then there was this small little like soda right beside it. Soda is like a family run restaurant, and a lot of the times they're open aired, so this was like basically sitting in someone's front garden and the family serves you. It's very, very unique concept, I guess. Obviously I'd never experienced anything like that before visiting Central America, but it's really cool. It's like it's a normal restaurant, like you bring out the food and take your order and things like that. Like it's really, really cool, and I'd recommend you visiting them because they are, like, it's where the locals go, so it's a lot cheaper than your big fancy restaurants in the big towns, you know. Just look for where the locals go. But this one was right around the corner, so it was really handy. And that's where I first encountered baleadas, and baleadas are unbelievable. They're so cool. They're right there. They're on par with pupusas in my opinion. So you have this tortilla and you get like bean paste, like black bean paste called frijol. Then you get cheese and you kind of choose which toppings you want then. It's like ordering a pizza. You have different ones. You can get them with like avocado, you can get them with chicken, pork, vegetables. Anything you want really you can get on these, and they're like folded in half and they're warm, and it's like good comfort food is what it is, and I absolutely love them. I ate them for lunch and dinner for my entire 3-week stay in Honduras. I think it was one day where I didn't have a baleada, and no complaints. I'd do it again. They're class, they're unbelievable. So yeah, mopped up food, had a few beers and went to bed. Got up the next morning, then jumped on the ferry across to Utila, and we stayed in underwater vision. That's where we did our diving course, and that's where we spent our 2 weeks. So the thing with Utila is you won't find, or I think you find one hostel on Hostelworld and Booking.com. All of the dive centres have accommodation, so message the dive centre before you arrive just to make sure that they have availability, and they will put you up. In our case with underwater vision, they put you up for free for the number of days that you're doing the course. So for us it was a 4-day course I think, and then after that you get a discounted price on the room. So normally it's $12, but if you do a course it's $8, and it's just for the length that you want to stay, and they're so easy going about how long you want to stay. You literally just let them know kind of that week, if like, oh, you're like, oh, I want to stay for a week, and that's grand. And if it gets to Friday, Saturday and you want to stay, you're like, hey, can I stay another 2 nights? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. And you just pay at the end. You just, when you're leaving, you pay. But be very careful. The ATM there is quite tricky, and it actually runs out. I think the only place that takes card payment there is, it's really, really random. There's a Circle K in the middle of the island, and I think it's the only place that takes card. But yeah, so when you need money, like, take out enough, and there's no harm in having a little bit extra. You're better safe than sorry. We were like, or me anyway, I was like going by the skin of my teeth there for about a day and a half because the company that supplies the money got delayed. So yeah, it was a little bit touch and go there for about 2 days, but it all works out in the end. So yeah, did our 4-day open water diving course. That was class. And then just like chilled out for like a week and a half. You could get stuck there very easy, and it happened to me. But I found if you're not actually like up and doing something most days, you will just get in the habit of going on the beer, because all of the pubs have a different theme or a different sort of thing that they do every night. So one night could be ladies' night, the next night could be, I think was it Tequila Tuesdays, where like tequila shots were €1 or like €2 or something like that. And then like every half hour they kind of they went around the bar and gave out free tequila shots. So everyone just gets absolutely raw off. But yeah, like big for drinking, big for diving. It's very easy to get stuck into just drinking all the time. So to combat that, there's a few things I recommend you do while you're on Utila to, yeah, just avoid like day drinking when you're not snorkeling or scuba diving. So with underwater vision, you can hop onto the boat if there is spaces available, and you can snorkel for free. So you don't have to, you don't have to pay. Like it's a free service. They just, if there's seats on the boat, you can go, and when everyone's down doing their scuba diving, you can paddle around. And that's where I got a chance to see my first ever shark. I saw a nurse shark. It was just like kind of tucked underneath a few like bits of coral, and he was just chilling there doing his thing. And also you can hike Pumpkin Hill. There's like a walkway through like the forest, and then you come up on top of like the hill, and there's a big like how would I describe it, like an old telegraph tower type thing, and you can see all of the surrounding like islands. You can see like the mainland, you can see the Roatan, that's the name of it. You can see Roatan on the other side, and then you get like 360 views of Utila. You can see where like the old airstrip was, and then you can see where the new one was. Very, very cool. And there is also a restaurant in the secluded part of the west side of the island, I believe. And you walk all the way down to the very end of the pathway, and they give a free boat like shuttle, and you can get across there. White sand beaches, clear blue water. It's just, yeah, it's unbelievable. There is another thing you can do. It's a little bit more expensive, and that is go out to Water Quay. I say Quay, it's like C-A-Y-E. That's how it's spelled. I pronounce it as Quay. Could be wrong, could be right, don't really know, but I'm gonna go with saying Quay. And again, crystal clear water, white sand, palm trees. If you saw my Honduras video, you'll see that's where I took majority of my drone shots, was on that quay. Unbelievable place. My advice would be to round up like 8 or 10 people. They give you a cooler, fill it up with drinks and things like that. We did it for Sophie's birthday, so it was kind of a nice little special occasion. And yeah, just enjoy yourselves. You get like 5-6 hours out there, just chill out in the sun, enjoy the nice clear water, and chat to some locals. It's like a really popular spot for them to go to as well, especially on the weekends. And yeah, just enjoy yourselves. Coming to the end of my stay there, they got a bit of the tail end of a storm, so it was quite rainy. The water was really, really choppy, and the ferry actually couldn't go for a day or two. I can't remember if it was 2 days or not, but I wanted to leave. I think it was, the ferry didn't go one day, and I was like, okay, I think it's time to go. Like Petra had left, Luke, and he had left. Sophie was leaving the following day, and I was like, you know what, I think it's time for me to go. And then Sophie was going to Roatan, the island beside us, and I was just going to go back to the mainland and go explore Honduras. Her ferry went and mine didn't, so I stayed an extra day and then left the following morning. Ended up back in La Ceiba, and I wanted to get to Copan ruins. Now, in hindsight, I should have left Utila earlier and done more of the Honduran mainland, but I didn't. So I had to work with what I had. I was meeting Ben in Guatemala on like the 4th of April, I think it was. So I had to be in Antigua for the 3rd or the 4th, I can't remember. So that would give me like 5 days in Copan, I think it was. So went up to Copan with the idea of seeing the ruins and then heading straight for Guatemala. So passed back through San Pedro Sula, got to, I think it's called El Progreso, and then a bus on up to Copan. It was like a full 13 hours of like traveling. I think I left at 6 in the morning, and I got to Copan when the sun was setting. So it was like 13 hours of travel. It was on this tiny little bus, getting like smashed around the place. But look, that is the fun part of traveling through Central America. Those bus drives are actually great crack. I was sat beside a lad who's about the same age as me from Honduras, and I was like just chatting to him. I was just chatting to him about like work and what he does, and where's his favourite places to go. He was saying he actually quite enjoys San Pedro Sula, but I imagine he knows where he's going and things like that. He works there. If that was me going there, I wouldn't have a notion what I'm at. So I was chatting away to him, seemed like sound of a fella. Then he got off and I went on to Copan, got to my hostel and woke up the next morning with the intentions of going straight to the ruins and having that one done, and then I could choose to stay or I could choose to move on. But the locals were protesting because they felt they weren't seeing the benefits of the money going into the ruins as much as they should. So that delayed me seeing the ruins by like 3 days. Nothing against what they were doing. I'm not sure the ins and outs of it, but if they felt they weren't being compensated correctly, yeah, I mean, it's such a big attraction to that area. Like, I feel you do need to like give back to the community that at the end of the day are the result of the ruins being there. But yeah, that delayed it by about 3 days. So every morning we'd wake up and we'd think, oh, okay, today we're going to the ruins, and we'd start to walk out the road and you just see the big long line of traffic because like lorries couldn't get by, buses had to take like big different like routes to get out of the town, because that was the main road to the border of Guatemala. So you couldn't get out that road. They had to take like these back roads and like basically work their way around the demonstration. So on my final day, or I want to get this right. So I had been there like 3-4 days and I had to get to Guatemala. So I thought, right, tonight is my last night. If the ruins are open in the morning, I will go and then I'll catch the bus to Guatemala. If not, I just, pack it in and go to Guatemala, and I'll have to come back to Honduras to see the ruins. Now, at 6 p.m. that night, we had heard from the hostel owner that there was an agreement made and that the ruins would be open the following morning. So that was like happy days. Got to get up early, go see the ruins, get a bit of breakfast and catch the bus to Guatemala. Now, in saying that, there is actually lots to do in Copan. There is natural springs nearby that you can get an Uber or a taxi to. Like, no, I think it's only a taxi actually. I don't think they have Uber. You can get a taxi to, like, no problem at all. Another thing you can do is go to Macaw Mountain. It is this massive bird sanctuary. So apparently when the Mayan people were around, they had like, the forests were full of macaws. Like, it was just like this big colourful place with all these macaws flying around, and over time they ended up being like hunted for their feathers and different things like that, so the numbers depleted. Now the idea is to get the numbers back up, get the population back to like reasonable level. So they're doing like really good stuff. All the macaws are like flying around, and then they have ones that are, I don't know if it's the ones that are set to mate or not, are in like cages to kind of keep them together. But they do get let out eventually into the jungle, and it's really cool to see them all like flying around. They come like right by you and things like that. You can just see their massive wingspans. It's it's a pretty cool place. And then there is a really nice chocolate tea coffee room. I think it's actually a coffee shop, and they do like really nice chocolate. It's absolutely quality, and I would recommend going there. I can't remember the name, but when you're there, people will tell you about it. So yeah, and then I got the bus to Guatemala. Honduras, like, what a country. It, again, gets such a bad rap, and it's not warranted at all. Again, same as El Salvador, the people that I met there had like they made like such a good impression on the country. Like they were so nice. From your man helping us off the bus to try to get us a taxi and get to our ferry on time, to Anthony at the hostel, like no problem delaying our booking with the hostel and doing the diving. Yeah, the bus or the boat captains of the boat, like they're like, yeah, take your time, I'll be back at 4 if you want to stay on a bit longer, like there's no problem, but I'll be here if you want to go. Like, just, yeah, everyone there was so kind. The people in all the stalls, or the people in all the like restaurants and at the markets and everything, like they're so nice. They want to talk to you, they want to get to know you, they want to know what you think about the country. And again, such a minority of the population giving it such a bad name. And I would highly recommend visiting Honduras, and I will definitely be going back to do the rest of the mainland, because my next door neighbour Connor, he was in the sort of south of the country. He went for 2 summers like building wells, same again, like everybody's just so nice there. So I'd really like to do like Lago de Ahoa, and then there is like loads of things you can do sort of in the centre of the country, up in the mountains, in the jungle. There's plenty of stuff to do. You do like rafting, even just like tipping through the towns, I think is actually a really fun like pastime. Even when I wasn't doing anything in Copan, the streets are so nice and everyone's like so friendly. You can literally just like walk around and start like chatting to anyone on the side of the road. Really friendly people, and definitely a country I would recommend you visiting. And on that note, I'm going to wrap up this episode of Travel Talk. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and until next time, take care. Cheers.